Season 2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The best time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Hurrdat Media Network.
All right.
Sweetstock.com is where you can get your Sweetstock tickets. Obviously, it's going to be a great
Right.
show, August 28th, which is coming up. We are already, as
3 weeks, 2 days.
It's crazy.
From today, being Thursday, August 5th in our world.
Week and a half away from school starting, just weeks away from Sweetstock already. Husker
Right?
football, it's just
Crazy
this
stuff.
this year is going fast.
Dana Camp in the studio. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Fantastic. So is your summer flying by too?
Oh, yeah.
This is
What? Where was 2021?
In
Where did that
August-
go? I don't even remember. It's like
no.
blink.
Everything has been just like
So
this.
fast.
Everything. It feels like somebody like turned it up a notch.
Yeah.
The time goes by. Just even in a day, like the morning hours just fly by, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, it's almost noon.
Yeah.
Where's my
know.
day going? But yeah, you're right. August is kind of like, and our newsletter went out. I think it goes out, or it's already out. I think it's already out. But
I think it went out last week.
I was doing the newsletter this month, this time.
And you don't know if it went out?
I can't remember when it went out. I handed it off to Nick. Let me put it that way. I handed it off to our minion, and Nick's our minion, and he takes care of all that stuff for us to make sure everything goes like it's supposed to. But I was just talking about August is like that reset month. It's like you kind of shift gears from summertime to all the fall stuff that you were talking about.
Yeah.
School. So your daughter,
Yeah, she's a week and a half away from going.
what year aid?
Junior.
Birthday?
4/17/05.
Yeah. So she's and that is insane to me that she's going to be a junior.
You and me both. You and me both.
Right? I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How can that be already?
You and me both. And and Bennett and his buddies applying actually today for an apartment. Found one. So
Oh my
it's
God.
like, what is going on?
So they're going to get a place. That's how many guys living in one place?
It'll be 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who's cleaning?
Right?
Well, actually, one of them, their aunt is she cleans houses, and she agreed that every couple weeks she'd come in and clean for them.
Oh my God.
Otherwise, it's going to be like deposit
I was
losing
going to say,
disaster.
yeah. I was going to say.
Absolute disaster.
I would want some kind of war insurance. I think we talked about that the other day.
yeah.
If I was a landlord, I would be like, how many?
I know, and like I almost feel bad because this apartment complex, like, oh yeah, because they all have they're working full time, and right now you're making a lot of money working part time. These kids,
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, their income altogether is fine, so they might not need a co-signer. I'm thinking, okay, good. I mean, hey, you're going to lose your deposit, boys, if you don't clean up the carpet. If and they're not partiers,
who
but they're
wants
boys.
to? I mean, regardless, this
Hole
is
in
like
the
one of
wall.
those things.
Just
And-
recklessness. Like,
Yeah.
Horsing around, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think about one of the financial rules that you'll hear people say is co-signing for your own child even is like a disaster because it can so easily go sideways.
Done it. Been
right?
there.
Right?
Been there.
And then if you have 2 other people that you're also depending on that are other people's children, not a chance. I co-signed once on a loan. I'm still got that hanging over my head because it was for a student loan for an ex.
Just having roommates.
And I'm still getting notes from Sally freaking May. And I am like, and I'm like, will you just pay it off? Because it has been more than a minute.
And you are guaranteed you're not a pilot.
I know you're not a pilot. I know it didn't pay off. And your brother's a freaking banker. Would you pay it off and get my name off of this? I'm so tired of
just start forwarding them consolidation information.
Oh my God.
Right?
It's
Right?
insane. It is insane that I still get stuff like that. So yeah, I my recommendation is co-sign for nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Oh, but then they don't move away.
Okay, see, that's
So
why.
you have to weigh it, right?
Yeah.
You have to weigh it because you have to decide how much do I want my freedom.
Well, then, okay, the other side of that is I still wouldn't co-sign. I'd be like, okay, fine, I'll pay for it, and you pay me back. I just don't want to be. I'm not signing shit. I'm not signing anything.
Yeah.
I would be like, we'll make an agreement between us, but I'm not going to be on the hook to someone else because you mess up.
Yeah, I know.
You're
It's
just credit-wise.
It's weird.
It's crazy because your credit, man. I tell you, you go through that,
yeah.
the whole credit
Oh
debacle.
yeah, rough.
You're like, and then you're pissed because you didn't do it. You did all the right things. and
and
they walk away skate. You know,
what's funny is that these boys, they want roommates. They want to have, but they really aren't like partiers. They don't.
No.
They're just dirty kids, just because they're boys. But
Oh,
they want roommates. Sophia doesn't
Not
want anything to
exclusive.
do with a roommate. She's like, is there such thing as like a 1-bedroom, like
Right.
by myself? I'm like, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's what she wants.
So that was so interesting because when I went to college, they match you up with your roommate, right? Who you're going to get. Ooh.
Yeah.
And mine was not a good match. And
Well, that's a
so-
shocker.
But I did find another girl that we were really good friends. Her roommate was not a good match either. And mine left or her left. I don't know. But anyway, we got to be roommates. And then she didn't come back after the first quarter or first semester.
Bye.
And so I had the room to myself.
Best roommate
which
ever.
was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm so all about it. So what does Sophia look like to you on as far as
Sophia?
the numbers go? Yeah.
She leans heavily into being a perfectionist. She's very hard on herself.
She's very organized, very type A when it comes to
That's
that
to control.
stuff.
That's
Yeah.
her illusion of control helps her feel safe in that. But like, she's calculating. She has a plan. She wants it to execute exactly the way that she anticipates it.
100%.
But she leans into fantasizing what that'll look like, and then she creates disappointment
Okay.
because
Good to know.
things don't always turn out like she.
Expectations might be a little off.
Well,
Or does she set him too
she
high?
has
or
a 3.
just
So
wrong?
I'm a 3, and she's got a 3 attitude.
Okay.
And so 3s are very optimistic. They look for the bright side of everything. Our expectations are always that people are going to show up as their best version.
Yes.
And so when
Yes.
we are banking on everybody showing up through our rose-colored glasses, when they don't show up, then we're like, whoa, I didn't even see that coming. Like,
That's
I
why
didn't
you don't
see them.
sign for anybody. I'm sorry. Anyway,
Right. Back to
whatever the
beginning.
opposite of the 3 is, that's me. I don't
Right.
trust anybody.
But at the same time, she came here to be a leader. Like, her purpose is to be a leader. So she's a lot like Dad in a lot of ways. She's rocking that 8 and that 1. So they have a lot in common that way. That drive, that self-esteem stuff, like all of that's dad and daughter shared stuff. So, but she's, on the inside, her gift is the ability to like become the executive and run things.
Interesting.
And if she works hard at that communication that she has, she can read people really well. She just has to trust it. And she can wield some power in this world if she can hone in. And what I tell people is 3s come in with rose-colored glasses, but they have an eye patch over one eye. They're not
Oh.
seeing the whole person, and it's okay. But 1s and 8s tend to be really hard on themselves. So what she doesn't want to see in other people is something she doesn't want to see in herself, right?
Sure.
Okay, that makes
Sure.
sense.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of like what we call our shadow work. Like anything that we don't show people because we think they won't love us or the love is conditional, then we kind of shove it away and put it in that closet and we don't want to look at it. And because we lean into our fantasy, we don't want to feel anything that doesn't feel ideal. So we put things in the closet a lot rather than feel it and be uncomfortable for a little bit and then let it move through. We tend to tuck it away and just try to plow forward. And her 8 energy from her birthday is very much like that horse with the blinders on, right?
Yeah.
They see that they have a goal and that's all they look at.
You can also look at it with the blinders, no distractions.
Yeah, but
that's
but
it, 'cause
you
right-
need the big picture in
It
order
is.
to be successful. So you kind of have to be
People
able
get
to.
that.
It's like looking through a keyhole
Mm-hmm.
when you can just open the door
Yeah.
and see the big picture, not just what you're focusing
Good
on.
analogy, yeah.
Right.
Because honestly, a lot of people do that every day, every stinking day. We've talked about this before. When you're driving to work every day, if all of a sudden you would just lift your head up and look to the right while you're driving, just look around a little, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that building was there. And
How long's Chick-fil-A been there?
Right?
Yeah.
I think I had one of those moments when I saw a hotel that's over by Westroads like a few years back, and I was like, when did they build that?
Yeah. Like you probably seen it every day, you just didn't pay attention.
Well,
Registered.
you don't need a hotel, so you don't pay attention to it
Didn't
being
register.
there.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with your goals, so that's kind of like the blinders thing. Yeah.
Didn't even see it. Yeah, and there's a couple others that were on Dodge Street blows my mind because there's so much going on down there. But if you're just watching traffic, which you're supposed to be doing, you miss a lot.
Yeah, you do.
she can be incredibly inspirational. Like
Cool.
she can be a great cheerleader for other people that need that inspiration.
Which she is. She is. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but probably once a month, I'll say to Beth, or just in my head, I'm like, man, Sophia's really handling whatever very, very well. She had an issue with her mom in the last couple weeks. And I'm like, the fact that she's just not talking about it, she just seems like she's dealing with it really, really well. And so I over communicate that, like, hey, are you okay? Let's talk about this. She's like, no, I'm fine. I'm good. And I'm thinking, well, is that the blinder situation? Compartmentalizing these feelings, not wanting to feel them?
That's the fantasy part, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's uncomfortable. I don't want to deal with it. So a la la la. Don't want to see it or hear
Don't want
it.
to talk about it.
Well, she can't la 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 with me because I pull those fingers out of her ear and be like, we're talking about this.
Yeah.
To the point where it probably pisses her off.
I'm sure it does.
It probably makes her mad,
Yeah.
but at the same time, she's super grateful because she's not the kind of person who asks for help.
No, she's not.
And so,
Unless she needs money.
and people won't notice that she needs help because she comes off like she's got it all under control.
Yes.
And so it's good that you call her on that because she needs to know that it's okay to need help and it's okay to ask for help. She'll be there for everybody else, but she won't ask you to be there for her. So she's a giver who needs to learn how to become a receiver. Otherwise, she'll only attract takers.
Yeah, true.
Right? And takers don't become givers.
Exactly right.
So if she finds herself surrounded by people who are always needy, who always look to her.
The damsels in distress kind of syndrome. It's
but
like
at the same time, like that,
she wants to fix
she
people. She wants
tends
to
to
help.
lean into that rescuer, right? But
Exactly. But that's what you
need-
attract.
Yes, but she's comfortable there because when you're focused on people outside of you and helping them, you're not paying attention to what you need to do for
Or
you.
drawing attention.
So rescuers typically find the things they need to heal in themselves in the people they're trying to help. So they need to turn that inward and go, I get this kind of thing a lot. What in me is unhealed? Why do I keep attracting people with this? And I keep taking on more than's mine, and I keep burdening myself with this stuff, right?
Right.
How do I look inside and say, okay, what in me is unhealed, and how do I become aware of that so that I can shift out of this pattern, because this pattern is exhausting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's got so much potential. She's going to be an amazing leader, but she has to understand what a leader is. A leader isn't somebody who's perfect. A leader is somebody who tries things, who's a pioneer, who steps out of their comfort zone and does something that they may not be good at, but they don't know, but they're willing to try, and then get up and dust themselves off and go, oh yeah, I tried it this way. This is what works.
Yeah.
And that's what
Right.
makes a leader, right?
Really good leaders probably, and then they should fail a lot because you learn more by failing.
You
than
have
learning.
to, well, and
Right.
here's the thing. You have to shift the way you feel about that word failure. Is it a failure, or was it an opportunity to grow?
That's exactly
Right?
What it
It's
is.
not a failure. It's an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So, and if you are always protecting yourself and you're only doing things you feel safe doing, you're not growing,
Nope.
right?
Exactly.
And
right.
you cut yourself off from the joy of experiences, because then you're not taking chances and trying new things. And so what if you fall? So what if, laugh it off,
Right.
because you're not the first one who's ever fallen,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
ones typically feel like everyone's looking at them. But if everyone's thinking the same thing, no one's looking at anybody but themselves.
And I wish kids would listen, because I remember my grandparents having this same conversation with me, and them thinking, just trust me, you're not going to succeed at everything, blah, blah, blah. And I have these same conversations with my kids. I'm like, you guys, just trust me. Just get through school. This isn't the worst day of your life. Just trust me.
So
And
there's
I
so
just
many
wish-
worse days coming.
Right.
Is that what
This is nothing.
this isn't the worst?
Yeah, like you guys just get through.
There's way more, guys. Just trust me on that. Like, this is, you think high school's? Yeah, don't give it a minute.
Right. Right. Because you hear them talk about the issues that are going on, and to
Yeah.
them, it's their whole world.
Yeah.
And after you have these conversations, you walk out of them, you're like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. That's what's consuming your thoughts and your brain.
Yeah.
But, they have no experience. So I just, hearing you say that, it's like, yeah, you just need to understand that trying a million things, failing at almost all of them, as long as you find one or two that you're good at and you're successful at, that's all you need.
But
Think
that's
of
the
it-
only way you find things.
Is
too.
by trying, right?
And just think of it as refining yourself, finding those things that you are good at, right? How do you find them if you never try them?
You may never find out.
Right?
that
You
you're
are missing
really
out.
good at something.
And I'm speaking from experience because I'm a one attitude. And And there's a lot of things I didn't try in my life because I thought everybody would laugh or look at me, or, you know, I would be worried about what other people would think.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then you turn, you know, you hit your late 30s, 40s, and you're like, I don't really care anymore what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, but I'm really not in a position to do that anymore. Right? Like, there's certain things I feel like I might have missed a window on.
Yes.
Just physically not capable of trying anymore. But like,
it is. I mean, the old saying that wisdom is wasted, or what is it? Youth is wasted. Wisdom is wasted on the, or whatever. How's it go?
Youth is wasted on the
Youth
young,
is
or whatever.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah,
But
you're
it
smarter when
basically
you get
is
older.
It's like, why? Really, it is. Because by the time you figure it out, you can't do some of the things anymore that you wanted to do.
Yeah. Youth is
like,
wasted on the young, I think is what it is.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you realize the opportunities, but and just like, wow, why didn't I just go ahead and do that? Why didn't I just go ahead and do that? You know, it's like, you know, I wish I would have moved that time I wanted to move. I wish I would have said, you know what, I'm going to go live in this part of the country for a while. And I had those aspirations, and then 5 years turned into 10.
yeah.
Right? Before you know it. And you're like, holy crap.
Just do it.
How did this happen?
Well,
Yep.
this is a
Okay.
big year for her of empowerment. This is
Okay.
her year of empowerment for her. She's going to step into her power.
Well, she applied
She
for
getting
another
sassy?
job. She applied for another job yesterday because she wanted more money and more hours. She's actually going to be working 2 jobs.
Nice.
She's got her car, taking care of that, paying her own insurance, doing all that kind of stuff. And she's pretty, and it's cool because she bitches about the money, but you know what I mean? Like having to pay all this stuff. But I know that it makes her happy that she's
She's doing it
supporting
herself.
herself,
Yeah.
doing it herself. She still asks for money, like going out with her friends
Yeah.
and stuff. But overall,
she doesn't want to spend her money on that.
no, that's
Dad.
funny. Yeah, she's like, Dad,
I'm trying to save my money. Can you spot me a 50?
This is funny. We go to take our vehicles down the 30th in Florence. This M&M, they're the best. It's really far away. So she's like, okay, Dad, so since you're making me take my car all the way down there, can you reimburse me for gas on Venmo? I'm like, you little businesswoman.
She really is.
Yeah.
That's her gift, though.
Yeah.
She's always thinking about how to make more, to do more, to spend more, to have more. And this year, so when you're talking about her having more jobs and all that, so let's talk about the 8 just a tiny bit. So the 8 is power, position, money, title, status. But also the bigger picture is that it's about creating balance. So I'm not surprised she's loaded herself up with an extra job and she has all these lofty goals, but she needs to really focus on, and this is something that's going to be part of her whole story because it's her birthday energy. She's got to create balance, rest, work, money, having no money, like saving versus spending.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it's-
everything for her is
Right.
really underneath everything is about how do I create balance with this? And even her life path is a 19, which is a 1 and a 9, which is opposite ends of the
Right.
spectrum of 1 through 9. They're both leaders, but they're leaders in different ways. 1 wants to be number 1, and 9 is a leader naturally through humanity. So there's a tug of war inside of her about doing things for herself versus doing things for the collective, right? For
Yeah.
others. And so she's got that tug of war going on inside of her going, I don't want to feel guilty. Like, I could do this for me, but if I did that, I could do 3 times as much for other people. And like, because she's a rescuer, like she's probably going to lean more into her 9 and 3 energy, but her 8's always going to be in the back going, what about us? What about us? What about us? Where's the balance? Right? So she needs to know that you spend a little, you save a little. You got to create
Right.
that balance in things. Goals are great, but you definitely need to create some kind of harmony between those two things. So
Makes
that
sense.
otherwise she's going to get exhausted, and that's the crash and burn thing, right? So you go too hard and you crash. You don't do enough, you don't have anything. So it's that
It's the balance.
Lack-
Big balance is big time. Big time. Big
lack
with
and
her.
reward, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So finding balance is going to be best for her. So my daughter went hard her senior year, and she had 2 jobs, and I was like, this is great. And she's like so proud of herself. And then it got old.
It catches up.
And I'm
It
like,
catches
you
up.
really don't need 2 jobs. You don't need it. You were just doing because you wanted more money, but do you need it?
Yeah.
Like, you need rest.
Yeah.
You need
Right.
to sleep.
Because your priority right now is getting through school.
Right. And
your priority
and-
is this.
Yeah. And
right?
they have so much fun.
And actually, that's another job.
it
So then
is.
it becomes 3 jobs. And it's like, this gives you money, this gives you education and gets you to the next level.
Where's the self-care?
So exactly.
Right? When are you sleeping enough? When are you
And that's your fourth job.
taking care of
Taking
yourself?
care of yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is the balance point, right? She's got to weigh those out.
Very good.
But yeah.
All right, who's next?
Samantha.
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 If you want to drop your birthdays, you can drop them on social. You can DMs.
Text us at
voicemail,
402-403-9478. You can email hey@patentjt.com, all that stuff.
And just going to throw this out there real quick right before we get to Samantha too. Coming up in the next month, and I'm not sure if it's going to be next week or the week after or what it's going to be. We're going to start doing Facebook Lives, and it's going to be every Friday at 9 is when we're going to start doing these. And eventually we're going to have Dana on with our Facebook Lives. And we're going to increase those so then we can do a little more interaction.
That'd be fun.
Little live spot
Yeah.
reads.
That'd be fun, yeah.
Yes. So really excited about that coming up as well. But in the meantime, drop us a line because you'll be back on the 25th.
Yep, I'm back. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
All right. So moving on to Samantha.
So Samantha, 721, so that we can clarify which Samantha.
Okay.
721. So Samantha is very harmony focused. She's a Master 11 life path, but she leads with the 2 energy, which is harmony. Creating that balance with, again, it's a balance energy because it's something that can be evenly divided in half. So any of the numbers that can be evenly divided in half require balance as an underlying theme. Her gift is her 3 energy. So she's that 11 and that 3, big givers, and her attitude is a 1. Mm-hmm. So with that combination, she's very much a rescuer, and she wants to be number 1 at whoever she's helping. Whatever she's putting her energy into, she needs to be recognized. She can be very hard on herself. She tends to allow other people to take a priority, and she puts herself on the back burner to keep peace. Right? Mm-hmm. She is a leader here to teach others to lead through her loving example. Right? So that's what we would be like in our loving self. So everybody, we have think of it as a spectrum, right? So we all have this spectrum inside of us. On one end, we've got our most loving version of ourselves. And on the other end, we have our most fearful version of ourselves, right? So our heart cannot be in both places at the same time. So like say when she gets overwhelmed and she's allowed herself to get depleted, she might turn into a little cranky, but she'd become more of the bully than the kind person that she really is. And that's just because feels like this takes a lot. I'm not going to lie. This takes an enormous amount for this to happen to her. She has to feel cornered before she comes out swinging. And she's got such a talent for communication. It's her natural gift. Nice. The communicator is her natural gift. She's a natural counselor. But when people don't take her advice, it gets exhausting to her. So she has to remember she can't write other people's stories.
Yeah.
She needs to, when she does give advice, she needs to do it without attachment to the outcome. So detach from your outcomes, Samantha, and be gentler on yourself because you take things far more serious. And I know you feel this because a lot of other people don't, and you can't understand why they don't have that intensity to be the best version of themselves. And that's because they didn't come here to be you. And I had to learn that the hard way too. I have that perfectionist attitude as well. And I had to learn that other people didn't come here to be that way. Some people came here for very different reasons, and I have to be okay with that.
It's hard, though, when you see somebody doing something obviously wrong or obviously
unhealthy
to a detriment to themselves. You just want it's hard to detach from there because you see, like, you guys, if you could see it clearly like I do, you're completely going down this path that's destructive. Why are you doing this?
Especially when you're a rescuer energy, right?
Yeah.
When you've got that rescuer, you feel responsible to save people from themselves, but you don't understand that their reason for being here, that's just one of the experiences they've asked to have. Human beings judge experiences. Yeah. We've been programmed from the time we were born that this is good and this is bad, and you want this and you don't want that, right? But it's really all neutral until we add our heart to it, right? So we're either adding that loving perspective or that fearful perspective, and we are judging things from our own perspective, not from their perspective. So we think that's the end of the world. It would be to me, but it may not be to them. Right?
That's the other side of it. Because you see somebody who's doing something, this is ridiculous. It may not matter to them.
No.
They may be just absolutely fine with it. It's like
living in a dirty house.
right?
Like it's just not a priority for that person. They just don't see everything having a place or being labeled
And
as
by
a priority.
the same token, though, they can't understand the person that's persnickety clean.
Oh, right.
That's
right.
like, oh my God, did you vacuum 6 times this week?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
going on? But and it's just funny because you assign value, but you don't. It takes a while to recognize that not everybody has the same values.
But
in mind,
the beauty is that when we accept ourselves as we are, then we have an opportunity to accept people where they are. And that's when you really get that inner peace clicks in.
It's the truth. You finally, when you feel that it's like, and some people would probably say it's not giving a damn, kind of like it's, I don't care.
Right.
But it's not apathy.
No.
At all. It's just that's okay.
Right.
I'm
like
good with
whatever.
that. You want to do it, do your thing.
Is
That's
it hurting
cool.
me or other people or
Yeah.
animals?
Right.
You
Yeah.
do you, boo. It's
That's
cool.
it.
It's
I'm
cool. Do what
good.
you got to do. Do it. Go learn whatever you came here to learn and experience whatever you came here to
Yes.
experience. Guess what my power is? To decide whether I participate. And I'm probably not going to if I don't like that. So
But go get it.
you go get it. I'll be over here doing me. You do you. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm going to worry about what you're doing.
You get that, I'll get
As long as you're not hurting anybody, we cool. I'm fine. Like,
that's one of those things that when you finally hit that moment where you're just like, it doesn't matter. I'm good. I'm fine. Then wow.
that was a
Huge
hard
weight.
thing for me to learn.
Oh,
It took me like 38 years to learn that. And now and the way I transitioned myself out of that thought process of being a control freak over everybody else's outcomes is I just asked myself when I'd get all intense, I'd just go, is anybody going to die? No one's going to die if that plate sits there. No one's going to die, and the world definitely won't end. So this is I'm putting this in the priority that it needs to be in, which is super low.
Yeah.
And if it bothers me so much, I can do it myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So then I just took back all my power from that situation.
Exactly
And
right.
if I don't like that and it keeps happening, then I can either leave or they can leave. So it's like,
figure out what
again,
your
like
resolution is.
we're so angry at people.
Some people that are so comfortable in anxiety. Some people are that's like that's their home base.
Just posted about that the
Right?
other day. So
Seriously?
people get
Yeah.
comfortable in their uncomfortable. Like, and I used to be that way. I grew up in a house where I had to walk on eggshells and there was danger and it wasn't a safe and I didn't feel safe. And so when I grew up and started dating, I actually picked people that recreated that environment for me.
Made you feel
So
comfortable.
I was comfortable in my uncomfortable. Like I was comfortable in my anxiety.
The devil
I
you
knew
know.
how to survive
Yeah.
in that kind of environment. Like when someone was kind, I did not know how to survive in that.
Yeah.
I did not know when somebody was nice to me, I was like, what's your angle?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I grew up
'Cause
in a
you just weren't used to
manipulative
it.
place,
Yeah.
right? So I grew up with people manipulating me. So I was like, what's your angle? Why are you being nice to me? Why are you giving me things? What do I owe you if you do that for me? So I had to grow out of that. And that took most of my story, right? Like
Exactly.
from
right.
a lot of
birth to
work.
like, yeah. Well, but that's also part of the journey. Like that's what I came here to do was peel off the things that aren't me. And I'm
Exactly.
not that person. I'm not that fearful person anymore.
Once you recognize it too.
Yeah.
You don't even realize. A lot of people, I think, that stay angry or stay tense or whatever that place is, don't even realize that that's where they're at. It's like that's just their normal.
Yeah.
And once they see it, it's like, wow.
And you don't have to stay there, right?
No.
And you don't have to stay there. And that's the part about taking your power back. Like,
Yeah.
but you have to have all the pieces, and that's really what I do for people when they come see me
That's
is
true.
we sit down and I look at your story with you and we work together to figure out, okay, what programmed beliefs are you walking around with that keep you in this place of discomfort?
And for some people, do you think that it's a control thing though too? Like I'm thinking of stereotypical when you're talking about mom is mad because you didn't put the dishes away, and to a ridiculous point. Right? Like that level. And it's like, my God, why are you that mad about this all the time? And why
Yeah.
is it so easy to get there so quickly?
Right.
is that because for them to walk away from it is giving up. It's like all of a sudden now they can't make you do what they wanted you to do.
It's all control.
So it's
a
control.
false sense of security.
Yeah.
Control is a false
There
sense
you
of
go.
security.
That's it.
And I ran my house like a general.
Yep.
Like my house, like my daughter, she's the polar opposite of me. She's the person who's
probably
teaching me
just-
she was here to teach me to let it go.
Chill.
She was here, and then she is still teaching me to let it go.
That's something that I think that's where some people maybe trip up because it's letting go of that is saying, I'm not in charge of that. I can't make you do what I
Right.
want you to do
So-
anymore.
That comes from not feeling in control inside of you.
Right.
So when people are overly controlling outside, they're trying to create some sense of security because they don't have it on the inside.
All you micromanagers out there.
And I help
See you.
well, that's what I do. I help people flip it, right?
Yeah.
I help you flip that power back inside of you so that you don't have to feel that way outside of you.
And I think what we're doing what you do
Yeah.
and basing it on what you base your information on, birthdays and stuff like that. I think it helps people get to that end a lot quicker because they see that it's like data versus somebody's opinion, like a
Right.
therapist or whatever, where they give you their opinion on their behavior.
Right.
They're seeing the actual data based on their birthday and like,
Yeah.
I totally make sense. So it's like a roadmap. You can see
Recognize
it. You can
themselves.
recognize yourself and you
It's a
can add
blueprint.
100% blueprint.
It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint for your frequencies, which is the energy that
Yeah.
you put out and the things that you attract. Everything I do is energy related. It's
How many
all
times
frequency.
have we talked about that recently?
Twice this week
I
with
mean-
Andy and then you. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
time.
Andy
Yeah.
Myers was in. We were talking about frequency. Josh Hurd. We were
Yeah.
talking about frequency.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you hear more and more people are familiar with it now. More and more people have heard of it. More and more people understand it.
Why am I attracting this?
Yes.
Is it mine? Am I
why am I
owning
attracted
something that's
to
not
this?
mine? Right. What in this? And here's the thing. We did come here with things to be attracted to for the experiences of it, right?
right.
Being a control freak and also what the opposite of that is which is knowing where my power is, right?
Yes.
Only inside me. So every time I try to control the outer world, I go, oh, look what I'm doing. Okay. So what do I have control over? Well, none of that. So I can decide whether to participate or leave.
Exactly.
And that's in everything.
And that's empowering.
It
Once
is.
you realize that.
Oh, yeah, this isn't for me. I had a great friend come to me and go, I'm going to put on this retreat and I can't wait. And I really want a sound person there. And I really want you to do this. It's outside at night in the woods.
What?
I'm like, I am incredibly flattered,
But I'm out.
but I feel like this is I was just being honest.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I honestly feel like it would be harder for me because I use tuning forks to do the frequency work. I really feel like for the number of people she wants there, it would take very long time for me to hit each person individually. And I said, I'm really getting that you need to bring someone in who does bowls. For the sound,
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah.
Because she can sit in the middle of the circle of women, right? Or people. It doesn't have to be all chicks. But she can sit in the middle and she can just vibrate that sound out in the circle.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like where I'm just like really focusing on the individual. This person can hit all 15 people at once, right? So that's what I suggested to her. I said, I am absolutely honored that you thought of me and I'm flattered. And it just isn't. It doesn't match me.
Doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't feel like it
That's
matches
something that I
me.
think for a lot of people too is trusting your gut.
Yeah.
Getting to a place where when you feel like something's not right, don't give it up.
But it's okay
Don't give it
it's
up.
okay for things not to be for you.
Right. And don't just accept because it'll make other people uncomfortable. If you say, okay, fine, I'll just get along. It's like if you know something isn't the way it's supposed to be,
Right.
go with it.
Right.
Trust your gut.
And that's what I teach people to do
Yep.
in my sessions as well, is that
Yeah.
I help them understand what's in the mind and how does the mind work versus the heart versus the gut.
Yeah.
And which order to listen to them in and how to move the energy from the head into the heart to communicate with the gut, right? So moving that energy down because fear and programming live in the head.
That's exactly what it is.
Because think about this. Something happens to you and your first gut instinct is, ugh, no, not for you. But then your head jumps in and goes, it'll be rude. You don't want to disappoint someone. You don't want to look like that. They might not invite you again. Like, think about all the things that go through your mind in a split second, trying to control the outcome.
Trying to make you doubt yourself.
Doubt, we all want to be included. We all want to be.
Well, that's what you're programmed to.
Right.
From the time you're a little kid.
100%.
You want them to like
them.
you?
Your family.
Yeah.
You have to do everything.
Don't embarrass us.
Your family is the most important thing, and you can't go against your family, and you have to be there for your family no matter what they do. And I'm here to tell you that your family are your biggest challengers. They know where all your buttons are, and they came here to push them. And so we can't be so overly committed to that. They're here to help you grow. That's not always a peaceful process.
Right.
Right? We're not always going to we can't live our whole lives. Think about the generations and how this works. Like, our families owned a dry cleaner. This is just a story. We don't own a dry cleaner. Just to be clear.
This is new.
So a family owns a dry cleaning store for 5 generations.
Right.
Miserable, miserable, miserable. The last 3 generations didn't want anything to do with that store, but because there's this implied
legacy,
you have to do it. You'll disappoint grandpa. You'll disappoint dad.
It's the family
and
business.
Then you have to do it. And then you have a kid, and then you're like, no, I had to do it, so you have to do it, even though I'm miserable. Right. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this perpetuates for generations until somebody's a cycle breaker and says, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, Dad's been mad at you and giving you the silent treatment for 25 years because you wouldn't take over the business, and you insulted him thinking that it wasn't good enough for you, or,
right.
But it had nothing to do with them. And that dad is mad because he didn't want to do it either.
And the
and
part
didn't
is,
want to
don't
do it
you think-
either.
Yeah.
The thing too is that the thing that they didn't flip the script is that, wow, you raised a child that thinks for themselves. You actually did this is a great service of what you did for your child. They don't look at the insulted, right? And it's like, no, wait, you did something they should be
good.
complimented.
Yeah.
It's actually more about them. Like, everything is about the person, right? We think in terms of ourselves. When we're offended, why are we offended?
Right.
It had nothing to do with you. I guarantee whatever someone else chooses to do has nothing to do
They
with
didn't
you.
sit there going, how can I really piss her off?
Well, no, I mean, they might do that, but what they're really doing is they're still trying to find an authentic way of expressing something in themselves. Like, everything we do for ourselves. When we go above and beyond for somebody, we want credit. Yeah. We want an even exchange of energy in some way.
And
We're
that's
all
okay.
looking for, and that's the thing. We vilified wanting things for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? That person works extra hours and they make extra and they make more money and they got the promotion.
Dummy. Right? That's what we do. We're like, this stupid.
Oh, he's an idiot. He doesn't have a life. And
Yeah. But here we are wishing we had the money, the car, the boat, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, but
100%.
we're also comparing ourselves.
100%.
And again, we're not being authentic.
Again.
And what brings you peace? Being authentic. Being able to say, that I am so flattered, but it's not going to work for me.
Does that not feel good? Do you remember there was a movement, and before people, I think, really realized the whole understanding to trust your gut, it's okay to say no. That I remember when that's the first time that kind of hit me, and it's been a while, but it's like, you don't have to volunteer for everything. You don't have to be available for everybody. You can say no, and you don't have to make an excuse.
Yeah.
Either. You can just say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't, and walk away.
Yeah.
You don't have to say because.
Right.
You don't have to.
No,
right?
no is a complete sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
And just let it
say
sit
that.
there. It's so awkward, though. Like, no.
Okay, so that's actually one of the things that I help people with is for these empathic people who feel like they can't say no. I can teach you how to say no.
And it's okay.
So if somebody,
And it feels so good.
well,
Once you get good at it.
Yeah.
when you say no, people say why. So you make a statement that does not leave an open end for a question. Say, I'm just not feeling that. How can anyone tell you what you feel?
That's a good
point. That doesn't feel like it's for me. It doesn't resonate.
That's okay.
I think I'm going to pass that. I feel like that's not right timing for me.
There you go.
Yeah, there's no comeback.
Exactly.
No,
right.
and you've closed the book on that, and you didn't have to say no.
There is a comeback. They could say whatever. Like, and that's just like, what do you say back to that? Nothing.
You don't have to. Just feel like, wow.
Whatever.
All right.
Okay.
Because inside their head, they're going, "What? I just got mind screwed."
But why? Because if you ever want to know why anything, it's because everyone is trying to get their own needs met.
Yeah.
Why is that person mad that you didn't commit? Because they counted on you doing it for them. Mm-hmm. Here's my answer to whenever I worry about when I have to tell somebody that's not for me or whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody, I just went blank.
Whatever.
No. Oh, I remember now. Squirrel.
You had a good run there. Let's see. We've been about.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Did pretty good without a squirrel, didn't I?
The whole time. That's crazy.
I just squirreled again. Just because we started laughing and then my brain went. Oh, okay. Let me say it before I forget.
Okay, say it.
If I don't do this, somebody else will. There are billions of people on this planet right now. You are not the end stop. You are not the last salvation for this person's request.
That's a good point.
I guarantee they are going to be resourceful enough. If they need this done and they don't want to do it, they will find someone
That's a good
else
point.
to do it.
You're right.
So you need to
Exactly.
let yourself off the hook and remember
So it's kind of
that's not your issue.
kind of narcissistic to accept because you worry that they can't find somebody else, that you're not replaceable.
Well,
Yeah.
It's like
it's actually-
you don't even- selfish.
it's actually a lack of self-love.
The
Is
bottom
what
line
it is.
Bottom
Because
line
it's a
it is.
fear of rejection. It's a fear of being unloved, right? It's a fear of
It really
rejection.
is.
Yeah.
When you
But-
say yes to everything, it's because you're afraid that you won't be useful, that you won't be needed, right? You need a lot of people, and this is really inherent for people who carry any of the master numbers or the 3 or the 6 or the 9. These numbers need to be needed. It's a core experience they came here to have. So if you need to be needed and you are answering every call that comes in, you're the mom that ends up being PTA president, and you're the one that ends up, everybody calls you when they need something and you're flattered, but you're way overcommitted.
Got to be overextended,
You have
right?
overextended yourself, and you're
Yeah.
doing things for
And you're
people
exhausted.
who aren't even your priority. Your kids are your priority, but yet you're covering and doing all these things for all these other people because you're afraid
If you're not
of
doing that,
that they don't love you, they won't love you, that
You're
you're
not
going to be
necessary.
rejected, that you'll be left out, that they won't consider you for the next thing that you really wanted, is the only reason you're doing this is so that you can step into this other position, but you want people to see how smart and valuable you are.
crazy.
So you keep taking things on
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you get overlooked because it's not even about who does it, it's about popularity.
It is, and in the end, you're right, because people forget who did do all those things.
Right.
You're named it. They just know everything got done.
It got done.
They don't
Yeah.
know who did it.
Yeah.
Interesting too, because we have that. We know that person that was underappreciated because he did everything because nobody else even knew what needed to be done. And you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, right.
And he did and when he's not around, things don't happen. But nobody realizes it's because he's not around. They just realized things weren't getting done.
So that person's not allowing. So on their end of this scenario, what their part of that they need to play in this is that they're not allowing others to give back to them
yes.
to keep themselves relevant and necessary and needed. But what they're missing is that even exchange of energy,
Yes.
where they need to let others do for them, and they need to cut out the relationships that are not even exchanges
But
of energy.
that's where they found value. That's where he finds value. In he right
It's
now.
temporary.
It's
so think
it's
about
like the
what fills
Band-Aid,
think
right?
about what fills your cup, right? Every day somebody wakes up. If you know yourself and you love yourself and you accept yourself where you are, your cup, you wake up every day, it's already full. You don't need anybody to give you compliments or praise you or any of that stuff. Those are
Right.
just bonuses when they happen,
right.
right? But when you wake up and your cup is empty, you wake up and you're thirsty and you need everybody to fill your cup up. So you start doing things that create environments that allow people to show up for you. Some people see that as a negative thing and we'll call it being an energy vampire, but those people just don't know how to fill their own cup,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and that we said it before on here before about next time you see somebody and you think they're attention seeking, rethink that and see it as connection seeking,
Yes.
right? Because what is that person? Why are they so thirsty?
Yeah.
Right?
Something's going on.
Why are they so
Yeah.
thirsty? So, I mean, even that slang fits perfectly.
Which is so weird.
I just thought it all just happened. I didn't even plan that.
No, when you first said it, I was like, that is really weird that is the word that's used because your people are trying to fill their cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is.
And why?
Why so thirsty? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And go back to why does anybody do anything?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get their needs met.
fantastic.
Whether they're doing it from a loving place or a fearful place, their goal is still the same goal, and that is to get their needs met.
100%.
So you do that, and you do this for people all the time.
Oh.
So how do people get a hold of you?
Full time. You can text me or call me, but make sure you leave a message. If I don't have your name in my phone, it'll go to voicemail. 402-960-0624. And a session, typically a brand new client session is an hour and a half long, guys. So this isn't a short thing. We're going to dig in.
We're going to unpack some stuff.
We're going to unpack, and we're going to
just an introductory meeting.
We're going to look at your gifts, and we're going to look at your challenges, and we're going to turn them all into positives.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you for filling our cups.
Yeah, right? She'll be back in 3 weeks.
It was mutual.
Yeah.
It's an even exchange of energy. Or I wouldn't be here. I'd be like,
That's
guys,
right.
I got to go.
Like, that's not feeling right for me today. Whatever.
Not feeling it.
Whatever. Dana, thanks for coming in.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Hurrdat Media Production.